Today we're going all the way back to 1997, before Linkin Park was called Linkin Park. Welcome back to another episode in the Linkin Park reaction series. Today we're going so far back, the band isn't even called Linkin Park anymore. This is Xero with the Xero EP. This is the version of the band that existed before Chester Bennington joined on officially as a vocalist. We've still got most of the original ingredients of Linkin Park here. We've got Mike, Rob, Brad, Joe, and Dave all here, but with singer Mark Wakefield, who I went and looked up, and he doesn't have a ton of other information about him. It looks like he's also the manager of a couple other bands and things like that, but he didn't really have a huge musical career after this. But really interested to see how his voice fits in with the rest of the band, and what does Linkin Park sound like in the 90s, before Hybrid Theory, before Meteora, before their kind of iconic sound. What did they sound like? I'm really kind of expecting a little bit more hip-hop influence, or maybe a little bit more kind of Korn-esque nu metal influence. I'm not really sure, but I'm really stoked to check it out, so let's get right into it. But before we do, love to ask you to join the community and subscribe. We love discovering and checking out great music just like this. Love to have you. Wow, this is really raw. Okay. Yeah, a lot of that 90s hip-hop influence. And it does have a little bit of Korn-y-ness to it, you know. Okay. Almost like an Alice in Chains sound here in the chorus. Harmonies. Very interesting. It's super raw and amateur production, but it's so interesting.
Nothing stopped in this land of the chain when brains lose, not knowing they were part of the game, and then the insides grow, but the box stays the same. Shame. Shovel up the pieces to the pain. You can try to hide yourself in the world of pretend, but when the paper's crumpled up, it can't be perfect again. From the top to the bottom, and the top I stop. Just what I thought.
Ooh, little harmonics. Very interesting. This chorus is so yeah, Alice in Chains is the best description I can think of. There's Joe. To that 90s hip-hop influence. This is pretty cool. Kind of a breakdown, you know? So interesting. All right. Now, see, that's like the first little piece of the Linkin Park DNA, that little string sample. Ooh. That's like almost like faint, you know? Those guitar tones are pretty bad. Man, it's so interesting hearing like Mike this early on. It sounds so different. Oh, okay. Gosh, those guitar tones are really bad, I'm not gonna lie. This is very classically Linkin Park. Yeah, okay. Oh. A little bit of screaming, huh? Okay, Mark. Okay. Interesting.
Of course, you know what a fuse is. It's a long piece of cord impregnated with gunpowder. When you strike a match and light it, it burns fitfully, sputteringly within, at which there is a little surprise.
These guitar tones are like Boss Metal Zone plugged into a pod. The bass sounds good and the drums sound good though.
Scientific, duck us, the ruckus, I bring stings your eardrum. Hear one line, I let loose, find me fearsome. Opposing troops on my home front shall be gone. Testing the 818th Battalion. Shall I go on cruise, run like rebels? Enola gay rhymes, kick the notch up a level in intensity. Send back attacks at your
yeah.
Blow up your spot with grenades.
It's like so much more like 80s, like 90s hip hop influenced. The guitar is so loud. that kind of Alice in Chainsy feel with that very specific harmony interval. A little acoustic. Sounds like a plugged-in acoustic. It's got that metallic-y electric sound to it. Oh! Program drums.
This is how it's done. Going for the title crown. Renowned MCs surrounded.
Whoa, what is that sample in the background?
See the way it ought to be finessed. Yes, am I the one to keep you on your toes? Definitely in my b-boy pose. The electric boogaloo with the slight twist. Touch your chin to your chest to the rhythm like this.
Okay. The timing is a little off on that last line there. Also, I'm noticing like all the verses are Mike, and Mark is just doing the choruses with the harmonies from Mike. Very interesting. That's kind of a cool riff. Man, this is so strange. All right, that was Xero, or Linkin Park, with the Xero EP. Let's break it down. Man, that was a trip. It's so interesting to go so far back and see what these guys sounded like before they blew up. I feel like a lot of people can, think about Linkin Park and they're like, oh, Hybrid Theory, it was so polished and so huge right off the bat, and they just exploded. But a lot of people don't know or talk about this early stuff that, it's very more experimental, is more of them finding their footing, It's so interesting to hear these guys playing around with different influences, and I can still hear a little bit of that Linkin Park DNA starting to coalesce, starting to form into the elements that we know and love today. Like that little string sample on the second song, it felt a little bit like Faint, there's that little bit of the strings repeated over and over again, from DJ Han. It just gives a little bit of that, here's a little bit of the flavor that we're going to be bringing in the future. But stylistically, the formula is very similar in this one, but the elements are a little bit different. I feel like this is taking a little more from like a grunge kind of background on the rock side. I hear a lot of Alice in Chains. I hear a lot of Nirvana, just in the guitars and stuff. There's not a lot of like new metal in those riffs yet. They're just kind of sludgy and chuggy and like slow. And same with the vocals. They're these drawn out, long, kind of slow harmonies that feel very reminiscent of Alice in Chains. And then all the verses are pretty much taken by Mike, and they're very, very 90s hip hop influence. And I am not versed enough in 90s hip hop to be like, oh, clearly it sounds like this group or whatever. But I just, that era of those particular kinds of rap flows and that kind of like boom bap, electronic drums thing, that I hear that a lot in these verses. And that carries on a little bit into modern Linkin Park once we get into Hybrid Theory and stuff like that. But boy, it's just so interesting to hear such a raw version of this band, because boy, I mentioned it a bunch, but the production is bad. Like the guitars sound so bad. Like they're tinny and fizzy. They sound like they've been put through like a Boss Metal Zone into a Line 6 pod and recorded straight out the headphone jack. Like it's just so rough, and they're so loud in the mix. Like the mixes on these are also pretty rough, but all the pieces are there, and it's so interesting to see how this, you replace Mark with Chester and you let these guys mature a little bit and let these ideas stew a little bit more, give them a good producer, and suddenly you've got an iconic band, one of the biggest of all time. Very, very interesting. I'm really glad we checked this one out, even though it's probably not going to be in my regular rotation or anything like that. It's a valuable piece of history, and it fills in a piece of the puzzle of the big picture that is Linkin Park. Let me know what you guys thought of this one. Have you heard this one before we checked it out together, or was this something that you guys already knew about? It's such an interesting find. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you like this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe. It really, really helps out the channel. Be sure to join our Discord server as well. Got all kinds of cool stuff happening there. Just a really cool place where we can hang out, talk about music and art and all kinds of other cool stuff. And we'd love to see you there. Keep an eye out for all kinds of good stuff coming up soon. We've got the System of Down reactions coming soon, Deftones reactions coming, more Linkin Park stuff, all kinds of great stuff. Be sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss any of that. That's going to do it for me today. I'll see you in the next one.